I never thought something as innocent as trying on a dress could change the way I see myself, or the way someone else sees me. And yet, there I was, frozen in the middle of my friend's room, the soft fabric of her favorite floral dress brushing against my skin, my reflection in the mirror catching me off guard. I barely recognized the person staring back at me. Her dress fit surprisingly well, hugging curves I didn't even know I had. My chest felt different. My posture changed automatically. A nervous self-consciousness mingled with an undeniable thrill. I tried to laugh it off, telling myself it was just curiosity, just a silly experiment. But the second I twirled, the mirror seemed to whisper something I hadn't admitted before. "You like this. You like how this feels." My heartbeat quickened, a mix of excitement and fear. And then, click, the door opened. What are you doing?" Her voice was calm, almost curious, but my stomach dropped. My best friend, the one person I never wanted to see me like this, was standing in the doorway, hands on her hips, eyebrows raised. I froze, the dress suddenly feeling heavier, almost like armor I hadn't asked for. My mouth opened, closed, and finally squeaked out, I was just curious." Her expression softened slightly, but I could see the surprise in her eyes. And then she laughed. Not mockingly, not cruelly, but a short, incredulous laugh that made my cheeks burn hotter than the midday sun. You look wow," she whispered. And that's when the panic set in. Wow didn't sound like praise. It sounded like she had seen a secret part of me, a part one didn't even fully understand yet. The next few days were surreal. I couldn't stop thinking about that moment, about how it felt to slip into her clothes, to feel soft fabrics against my skin, to hear her voice react to something I hadn't even realized I wanted. I tried to act normal around her, but everything felt off. Every laugh, every shared joke, every casual touch felt layered with tension. And worst of all, I kept replaying the memory of her standing in that doorway, her eyes scanning me in ways that made me shiver and burn at the same time. At school, in class, even at home, I couldn't focus. I found myself imagining what it would be like to wear her dress again, to experiment with her makeup, to see how far I could transform myself without anyone noticing. I knew it was dangerous. What if someone found out? But the pull was magnetic, irresistible. One evening, I stayed behind after everyone left her house, pretending to help clean up. My heart pounded as I waited until she had gone into the kitchen. Then, almost as if my body had a mind of its own, I slipped into her closet. My hands trembled as I picked out the same floral dress, touching the fabric reverently. Sliding it over my head, I felt that same thrill, the soft stretch of the material, the way it hugged my shoulders and waist. I looked in the mirror, holding my breath. It was me, and yet it wasn't. I tilted my head, examining my reflection. The dress softened my features, my posture changed, my movements became slower, more deliberate. I ran my hands down the fabric, feeling almost feminine. The sound of my own breathing sounded different, lighter, somehow more intimate. I couldn't help but whisper to myself, "This feels right." I experimented slowly at first, trying different accessories, her earrings, a scarf, a subtle touch of her lipstick. Every time I looked in the mirror, my heart skipped, a confusing mixture of shame and exhilaration. I knew I was crossing a line, but I couldn't stop. My secret life had begun, hidden behind layers of silk and cotton, behind whispered self-discoveries in empty rooms. Weekends became my playground. I started small, wearing her clothes at home, experimenting with voice and posture, even trying on heels. At first, I was clumsy, almost comical. But gradually, I began to notice subtle changes, my confidence, my self-awareness, the way I carried myself. Every time I caught my reflection, I felt a jolt of recognition and awe. One Saturday, I dared myself to step outside. I borrowed one of her lighter dresses and a pair of flats, carefully applied a touch of eyeliner, and walked through the neighborhood. My stomach twisted with nerves as I imagined someone recognizing me, laughing, judging. But no one did. Instead, the breeze on my skin, the sun on my shoulders, the soft sway of the dress, everything felt natural. liberating. I met a few neighbors along the way, forcing myself to smile, to keep my voice steady. Each interaction was a small victory, a reassurance that maybe, just maybe, I could explore this part of myself without fear. And yet, the thrill of secrecy lingered, adding a rush to every step. The weekend turned into hours of trying different outfits, blending elements of her wardrobe with my own personality. I began to understand nuances I had never noticed before, the way certain fabrics felt against my skin, the way makeup could enhance features without masking them, the subtle confidence that comes from seeing yourself fully in a reflection. Each small experiment built on the last, layering curiosity with empowerment. But nothing could prepare me for the confrontation that was inevitable. One evening, I was trying on another of her dresses, slightly longer, in front of the mirror when she walked in, unannounced as usual. I froze immediately, my heart pounding in my chest. My cheeks flamed as she stepped closer, examining me with a calm intensity that made me squirm. "I know," she said softly. I blinked. You know?" My voice cracked. She nodded, leaning against the doorframe. "I know you've been experimenting. I saw the change in your behavior, the excitement, the hesitation. I know you." I felt a wave of panic and relief wash over me simultaneously. I didn't mean, I stumbled over my words, unable to form a coherent sentence. She smiled gently. "It's okay. I'm not judging you. Honestly, I think it's kind of amazing." "Amazing?" I whispered, unsure whether to feel relieved or insulted. She nodded, stepping closer. "Yes. You're discovering yourself, your identity, your comfort. That takes courage. Most people never let themselves explore like this." Her words hit me like a revelation. Someone I trusted, knew, and yet didn't recoil or laugh. Instead, she was supportive. That night, we talked. Really talked. About identity, about expression, about the fear of judgment, about the thrill of trying something new. She shared stories of her own experiments, her own self-discoveries. I felt my chest tighten with emotion, fear, excitement, gratitude, and finally, acceptance. From that night onward, my transformation took on a new dimension. It wasn't just about hiding, about secret thrill. It was about exploration, about understanding who I was beneath the fabric, beneath the expectations, beneath the fear. I started combining elements of my own style with hers, creating outfits that were uniquely mine. I experimented with hairstyles, subtle makeup, and even practiced gestures, movements, and expressions that felt more natural, more me. Every new combination brought a rush of empowerment. I could see it in the mirror, in the way I walked, in the small but undeniable confidence in my voice. The world around me seemed to adjust too. Friends noticed subtle changes, my posture, my demeanor, my energy. Some whispered, some stared, but I learned to meet their gaze with quiet confidence, with no need to explain. I knew my truth, and that knowledge was liberating. And my friend? She became my guide, my ally, my confidant. We shared shopping trips, styling sessions, late-night talks about expression and identity. Her presence made me feel safe, validated, and free to explore further than I ever imagined. She never pressured me. She never mocked me. She simply celebrated the discovery of someone I hadn't fully met yet, myself. The real test came when I dared to wear one of her dresses out to a social event. My heart pounded with nerves as I stepped into the room. Every glance, every whisper, every subtle smile felt amplified. But instead of fear, I felt anticipation, excitement, pride. I wasn't hiding. I was presenting myself fully, unapologetically, embracing a part of me that had always been there, quietly waiting to emerge. And as the night went on, something incredible happened. People interacted with me as themselves, not as a costume or a curiosity. They saw me, really saw me, and responded to the confidence and authenticity radiating from within. That was the moment I realized. The transformation wasn't just external, it had reshaped me from the inside out. I walked home that night with a sense of accomplishment, a subtle sway in my step, a smile I couldn't hide. I was more than just someone trying on a dress in secret. I was someone embracing themselves, exploring their identity, and finding empowerment in every soft fabric, every careful touch of makeup, every confident stride. Now, whenever I look in the mirror, I see someone whole, someone brave, someone who dared to explore a secret curiosity and found liberation in authenticity. And my friend? She's still by my side, laughing, celebrating, guiding, reminding me that the journey is just as important as the destination. The lesson I've learned is simple. Identity isn't fixed. Curiosity isn't shameful. And courage doesn't always roar. It sometimes whispers, hidden behind a borrowed dress, a brush of lipstick, and the soft thrill of discovering yourself. And for anyone watching this, I want you to know, it's okay to explore. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to feel everything at once. Because sometimes, the thing you're most afraid to try is the thing that sets you free. The weekend started like any other, but I could feel it, the tension in my chest, the tight knot of anticipation. I had borrowed another of her dresses, something darker, more daring than anything I'd worn before, and I knew tonight I was going to take a real step, stepping out in public. My hands shook slightly as I adjusted the straps, smoothed the fabric over my shoulders, and applied one last stroke of lipstick. Just as I was about to leave, the door creaked, and there she was. My friend, standing in the doorway, arms crossed, eyes sharp and steady. My stomach dropped. This wasn't the accidental caught-me-once moment anymore. This felt like Judgment Day. "I can see it in your eyes," she said softly, almost a whisper, but it cut through the air like a knife. "You want this. Don't lie to me." I swallowed hard, feeling the heat rise in my face. I don't know if I should." My voice cracked, betraying the fear that was coiling like a snake in my chest. "You can't keep hiding," she continued, stepping closer. "Not from yourself. Not from me. Not from anyone." My mind raced. Every scenario flashed before me. Friends laughing, family confused, strangers staring, my world unraveling. And yet, beneath that fear, there was a rush, a tremor of excitement, the same thrill I'd felt every time I tried one of her dresses in secret. "You have a choice," she said, her eyes locking onto mine. "You can step out as who you really are or go back to hiding. But hiding? That's not you." I felt tears prick at the corners of my eyes. Not because I was sad, but because the truth was undeniable. I couldn't go back. I couldn't pretend anymore. I had tasted freedom, the soft brush of fabric, the sway of a skirt, the thrill of seeing myself through a new lens, and it had changed me. Taking a deep breath, I lifted my chin, straightened my shoulders, and met her gaze. I want to try. I want to be me, even if it's scary." Her lips curved into a small, approving smile. "Then go. And don't look back." With her words echoing in my head, I stepped outside, the cool evening air brushing against my exposed arms, the dress swaying around my knees. Every step was deliberate, every heartbeat loud in my chest. I felt eyes on me, neighbors, passers-by, familiar faces, but instead of fear, a strange calm settled over me. I was walking as myself, fully, without apology. And then a familiar voice called out, "You look incredible." I turned and saw her, standing on the porch, smiling with that mixture of pride and mischief that only she could pull off. In that moment, something inside me shifted. The fear, the shame, the secrecy, they all melted into something else. Courage, confidence, liberation. I realized then that this wasn't just about wearing a dress. It was about owning who I was, embracing the part of me that had been hiding, scared to breathe. And for the first time, I wasn't hiding. I was alive.